Alright, hello everyone, this is going to be my second tutorial for making portal maps. This is how to make a box dropper, or a vital apparatus is what it's called in the game, I think. So yeah, I'm going to get right into it. So, I'm just going to create this just a little room here. I'm just going to do 512 by 512 by 16, just like that. And I'll just do a concrete floor for the texture. Okay, so I'm going to have the player spawn in one of these corners here. I don't know which corner that was, this one. Alright, so now I have the player spawn set up. I'm going to give him a portal gun as well. And alright, so we should be good there. Now, the box dropper, we're going to need to create the rest of the room, because the box dropper, I'm sure you've seen one in Portal. It has a thing that extends like into the ceiling. So let me just draw this out again since I messed it up last time. Alright. So once I have this room made, I'm going to make a ceiling next. Maybe. There. Okay. So here's my room. I'm going to have the box dropper over in this corner. So I either need to cut out a 128 by 128 hole, or I just need to shrink this down like this and create another brush like this. So now I've got my little area right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in this, but before I create this brush, I'm going to set it to the arch type, and when you press enter, you should get this thing to show up. Now, for the wall width, we're going to do 24. For number of sides, keep it at 8. For arc, do 360. I don't know if regular Hammer has this circle button, but I know Hammer++ definitely does. That just sets the arc to 360. Keep everything else the same, round points to integers. And then you should have this circle here. Now what you're going to do with this circle is you're going to use the vertex manipulation tool, and you should see all these dots appear. Click it again so you only see white dots. Make sure it's only the white dots, because you don't want to accidentally move the yellow ones. And then what you're going to do is just drag all the white dots on the corners out to the edges until you have, it should be just like a regular square, but with this cylindrical cutout, just like that. So now we can, I don't know why that got put up there, but alright. Now we can put down it's going to be a prop static, and the prop is going to be this box dropper.mdl, like this, and then we're just going to put it, and you might need to change your grid size, but just line it up with the ceiling and with the hole. My roof's definitely going to need to be higher up than it is right now, so let me just extend the walls. Alright, now I can put this back up here, just like that. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a prop dynamic, and this is going to be the box dropper cover, and you can just line that up. and it should look like this. I think, yeah. So now we have the props set up. Now up here, I'm going to switch back to the 16 grid, and we just need to create on top of this area, we need to create 128 by 128 by 256. So I already have the 128 by 128, and we just need to make it 256. Make sure you're on the block type before you make it again. I always forget to do that. And then just copy that around to the 4 sides. And if you didn't know, holding down shift and dragging a brush will copy it in Hammer. Just like this. And now we're going to use the clipping tool. And right in the halfway point of this brush, which is marked by the X right here, we're going to create a clip there. And then we're going to make sure neither half of the brush is red, because if it's red, then the red part will get deleted when you do the clip. So just click on it a couple more times until both halves are white, then you can click enter. And we're just going to do that for all of these. Just like so. Now the bottom half, we're going to change the texture to Metal Wall BTS 006A. Just like so. And then the top half, we're going to use this one, 006B Gradient. Just like so. It looks like it's a bit off aligned, so you can select multiple faces by holding Control, and then I'm just going to click T to align the texture to the top, and I'm going to do the same with this one, like so. So now it should all be lined up and it should look good. Now the outside, sorry, not the outside, the top, we're going to create the top brush just like this, and this is going to be textured with the light underscore orange 001. So you can see when we go inside, it looks like it just leads up into this orange thing. Now above the box dropper, we're going to create a 128 by 128 by 112 box right here, and we're just going to use the no draw texture. Then inside this box, we're going to put a prop physics. And it's going to be, the world model is going to be metal box. And then the name is going to be box. Just like so. And we'll just put it inside the box. It says to use my reference says 112, but I'm just going to make the box a complete cube, 128 by 128 by 128, because I don't like it being a bit smaller. It doesn't align and it messes with me. So now inside this box, we're going to create another entity, and this is going to be a point template. The name is going to be box underscore template, and then its template one is going to be box. And then make sure under flags, don't remove template entities. Make sure that's unchecked, because we don't want this box to actually exist. We just want it to have the ability to exist from the template, if that makes sense. Now, in the box dropper shaft about right here, I'm going to create another entity. Then this one is going to be an env entity maker. And so what that does is you can choose a point template. So I'm going to choose box template, and then I'm going to give it a name. We're going to call it entity, I'm not typing, entity box maker. You don't have to mess with any of this post spawn stuff because we're not going to give it any post spawn movement, and then don't add any flags at all. Then you should be good. Now we're going to create a filter activator name, which, if you don't know, a filter activator name is, it's a type of filter that you can add to something, and then whatever that thing you added it to will only activate if whatever activated it has a specific name. So we're going to call this filter boxes, and then like we called the box, we're going to type box in the filter name. So now whatever we add this filter to, it will only accept entities that are named box. I just realized I actually want the person to be on the opposite side of the room from the box dropper. So now we have that. Now back to this metal box, we're going to give it these outputs. We're going to say on out of world exclamation mark activator kill, and then also on out of world logic underscore drop underscore box trigger. And then if you're using regular hammer, just check the box that says like fire only once. If you're using hammer++, just set it to 1 refire. So now we're going to create a logic auto entity. I'm just going to put mine next to my filter activator name, logic auto, and we're going to add it. We're going to say on map spawn. We're going to say entity box maker force spawn. So this is going to force, when the map spawns, it's going to make a box spawn and drop down in here. Now, I don't think this actually has any collision at all. If it does, it doesn't matter, because we're going to put a little brush on this thing that will stop any cubes from falling. So we're going to do 96 by 96 by 4. So 96 by 96. And I'm just going to use the node draw texture. And this can be higher up too. I didn't realize how low down it was. So it should just look like that. And then we're going to tie it to an entity. And it's going to be a brush, a func brush. Its name is going to be stop tube plugging. And then start disabled, we'll set that to yes. Now we're going to create a 128 by 128 by 128 trigger around all this, just like so. And we use the trigger texture, and this is going to be a trigger multiple, just like that. And start disabled, yes. Filter name, filter boxes, and then the name is going to be trigger box dropper clear. And then for flags, uncheck clients and check physics objects. Now the outputs, we're going to add quite a few of them. On end touch box entity box maker force spawn. Then on end touch oh, this is something I forgot to do. We have to give this part a name, so it's going to be box dropper model cover is what I'm going to call it, or box dropper cover model. Alright, so box dropper cover model, set animation close, then on end touch stop tube plugging enable, and then on end touch exclamation mark self disable, then on end touch stop tube plugging disable after 2 seconds, and then on trigger exclamation mark activator wake. Now, right next to our logic auto, I mean you can put it anywhere, but I'm going to put it next to the logic auto. We're going to create a logic relay. This relay's name is going to be logic drop box. If you remember, I think we added that output to the logic auto, or no we didn't, I don't remember where. Anyway, this is going to be on trigger box dropper cover model set animation open, then on trigger stop tube plugging disable, and then on trigger trigger box dropper clear enable. Now if you go up here you can see, like, what if the cube fell down here and like got stuck here and never actually fell into the chamber? Well, we're gonna fix that now. The first thing I'm gonna do, and this is just an optimization thing, I'm just gonna texture all of this with no draw, and then you're actually supposed to, we're gonna do metal wall. I don't remember what it is, so I'll just have to find it here, but it's this one, metal wall, this one, metal wall 061F, and we just texture this part with that, and then, whoops, I thought I was on no draw, definitely was not, no draw, and then I'm just going to go around, I'm going to texture the whole outside of this map with no draw. That's just another optimization thing. Not a huge deal. This is, it's 2025. Your computer is going to be able to handle Portal, I would imagine. But, you know, might as well just do it anyway. Doesn't take that much time. It's pretty easy to do. And go around the inside, texture all of this with no draw. And then make sure this is all textured with no draw. And then texture all this. And go around the outside. And at the bottom. Just like that. So now I think everything's textured with no draw. I might have missed a couple things, but it's not that big of a deal. Now we're going to create right in here, I believe it's 32 by 32 by I don't actually really know. I'll just do 32 by 32 by 32 and see what that looks like. Okay, I think that's right. And then we clip it not like that, like this. No, I think it's actually 32 by 32 by 48. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's it. And then we're going to copy this around to the four corners and then rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise each time. Or no, clockwise, sorry. And then we're going to create smaller 16 by 64 by 32 brushes like this. And then we'll just cut it right there, and then you can have it clip off that part, and then we'll do the same thing like this, and like this. Now, if you're more experienced with Hammer and you know what a Viz leaf is and how it works, you'd know that this all being brushes would be a nightmare for optimization. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select all of these and just click Control T, and it should already be a func detail, but if you change what the default entity is, just turn it into a func detail. And what a func detail does is a regular brush, every face it has, like, it has a viz leaf, and then if the viz leaves can touch, it renders both things at the same time, and it's all this complicated, like, rendering stuff. But a func detail just doesn't create viz leaves. So that's why we're going to turn those into func details. You can't turn everything into a func detail because the only thing that can seal off a map is just a solid. You can't have any sort of brush entity or point entity seal off a map. Now, I believe this whole thing is actually, I think in regular Portal maps, well, let me check actually. And this is just 0, from regular Portal, but I think box droppers actually, yeah, they're 8 units below the ceiling. And you can see Valve, that's where I got the thing from. So, going back to our level, I'm gonna just select all of this stuff here. You don't have to do this, because it doesn't really matter. But I'm just gonna select all of this and move it 8 units lower. And then, right where this gap is, I'm actually gonna, I just realized I didn't need to move the whole thing. That was stupid. I just need to move all this stuff that's below the ceiling. So I think that's all of it, and then I just move it 8 units lower. And then in this gap here, I'm gonna do that. Then this can just use the regular ceiling texture, I think. But then on the sides, we can use hazard orange. Okay, well, that's great. Okay, I don't. That's classic Hammer, just randomly crashing, and now I have to rebuild this. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so. Oh, I did not position that one correctly at all. Alright, so I got all this back and working. Now I just need to move this again and hopefully it doesn't crash when I try to select the texture. I really don't know why that happened. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to pull this down an extra 2 and then just texture the sides like this, because that's going to be easier to do. So yeah, now we just need to create some sort of trigger to have the box, like, it'll already spawn in, but it obviously won't fall because, yeah, you know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put a trigger right here on the floor. And I'm just gonna do that. Actually, I'm just gonna make it one big trigger. I don't know why I was doing it like that. And this is gonna be a trigger once, because I only need it once. And then it's just gonna be on start touch, logic drop box, and then trigger. So now when I load into the map, as long as I did everything correctly, it should work perfectly fine. Right, there's no lighting. Well, that's alright. I'll just turn on full bright. So you see we walk forward and we get our cube. If I do show triggers, you can see the box falls into there, but it doesn't actually fall out, and as soon as I touch this, then it falls out. And you can't plug the tube because when a cube touches this, that's the reason why we made that stop tube plugging brush, because if you put a cube under there, it will, you can like put it back up into the tube, and so what that does is if there's a cube touching this box, then it basically forces it to not do that. Then if you have like an emancipation grill, which I don't know how to make one off the top of my head, so I'm just gonna put down a little thing over here. Trigger portal cleanser. Let me check actually, just so I know I make this at least a bit correctly. So I'm gonna go like that, and then portal cleanser 1. And then check everything. I'm not going to bother with the side entities, I'm just going to put down the particles. And, you know, this isn't going to be a real map, so it's okay. Particle system, I don't know what it's called. I think just portal cleanser. Start active, yes. Okay, yeah, I think that works because I can see particles. I don't know how to like make this fit all of this. But anyway, we now have a portal cleanser. So when the box touches this, we should make the box respawn, because we don't want the player to just completely lose it if they accidentally do that. So there's a specific output that's on dissolve box, but this on dissolve box only works if you named your box box. So if you named it something else for whatever reason, then you'll just have to do on dissolve and then have a filter for your specific box name. But since I named my box, I'm going to do on dissolve box. Then you say logic drop box trigger. So now if I go back into the map, I forgot that I still had it running. Now if I load back in the map, you see we have a portal cleanser and it gets rid of my portals, so it is a real one. And then if I dissolve the box, you see we get a new one. And it just keeps giving me new boxes. So yeah, that was how to make a box dropper in Portal. Kind of an in-depth tutorial, but now you know how to make one. So I hope that was helpful in some way to you. Yeah. Thanks for watching.